So, have you ever met someone whose energy is just completely infectious? Well, that's what's happening on the STAGERBOSS channel today. I'm interviewing Sheelagh Wright all about her journey in finding STAGERBOSS and launching her home staging business. The first time I met Sheelagh was actually one of our events that we hosted in 2022 called STAGERBOSS on Tour. Basically, I took the word of STAGERBOSS, the message how launching a home staging business is one of the best business models in the world around the UK. We actually went to Belfast, Bristol, Birmingham, and then Manchester to share that story. And Sheelagh I met at our Belfast event. She immediately just got it, having already ran an interior design business. She could immediately see the gap for home staging businesses in Northern Ireland. And so she went all in one of her programs and decided to launch this as an additional service. Since launching this as an additional service, she scaled her business to doing 15k months, £15,000 a month in revenue, and is being featured in the press, and all in is just killing it. Now, I just cannot wait for you to hear her story from her. So let's dive in and learn all about Sheelagh's journey with STAGERBOSS. And today I have a special guest, so please engage in the comments as we go along, ask Sheelagh your questions. And I will just take a few moments to introduce this incredible woman. Sheelagh Wright is the founder of now Property Staging NI, originally Kensington House Design. She still runs her interior design alongside her home staging company, and she is based in Northern Ireland. And I'm just so excited to have this woman on this chat with us today because I met Sheelagh last year and she launched her home staging business just like a little over 12 months ago. She attended our STAGERBOSS on Tour event in Belfast and decided to go all in, joining us in Staging Business Secrets, and then launch a home staging arm of her interior design brand, as she could see like the massive opportunity in this. And she's just went from strength to strength. We were just having a chat before we actually went live here, and she's doing like a penthouse this week that overlooks the whole Belfast, getting paid, really great money to stage those types of properties. She's actually turning down business that does not serve her because she has this mindset of abundance, and she's scaled her business to monthly revenues now of £15,000 a month. So she's incredible. I'm sure she's going to share her story with us today and do all the justice it deserves. So Sheelagh, it's great to have you here. How are you today?
I'm good. If you can hear a little dog in the background, apologies. She's my little shadow, and she just likes to, she wants to play constantly. So I'll be constantly going up and down to throw things for her, because my teenagers are still in bed. So I'm in charge of the dog. So apologies if you can hear a little pug in the background, but I'm good today. How are you? More to the point, Liv.
Oh, I'm great, thank you. But isn't that like the best thing about working for yourself? Like you can spend all day with your dogs, your kids, and there's no boss to tell you off, right?
Yeah. Well, I'm starting to get to the stage where I'm trying to rope my children into coming to work with me and helping me out. So they're at the stage where when they're in the mood to do it, they can be useful to me. So I'm like, right, somebody put your shoes on, help me carry this out of the car, or otherwise they can wait in for deliveries, which is useful too. They're old enough to do that now. So they're coming in handy. Eventually they come in handy.
Amazing. Yes, get them to work so they can pay their way. That's the way to do it. So Sheelagh, tell me about like where were you before STAGERBOSS? Where was your life at? Where was your business at? What was happening?
Well, so I've got three kids. I started my interior design business during lockdown. Like lots of people, I started a business during lockdown. It's something I had kind of always done for friends and family. I have a background in property development. And I would never have sold anything without staging it and making sure that it looked really well. And not knowing whether or not, that was a thing. But I just knew that I knew that I wanted to present any property that I was doing to its absolute max. So it was something I was kind of doing for myself. I then started to do that sort of for friends and family who maybe also were selling properties. And we bit like yourself, Liv. I know the first one you did was one your mum was selling. I just realized that, to sell my properties and get the best money for it, that's what I had to do. But I didn't realize it was actually a thing. And then people watch things like, staging sunset and stuff like that and think that that's what we do and it's all so glamorous. But, everybody here will know that it's mostly furniture removal and carrying heavy things upstairs and, running out to IKEA to, get the old plant and whatever. So it is hard work, but whenever I was working in my interior design business, one of my clients actually contacted me to say, listen, I'm trying to sell a house and it's empty and nobody's looking at it. We're really struggling to get people in the door. Could you stage it? And I was like, well, yes, I suppose I could. And then I thought, I don't know how much I would charge. Where would I get the stuff? I didn't really know how to go about it. Now I had said I would do it, and I thought, you know what, somebody's asked me to do it. I'm just gonna do it, and I'll work out the logistics later. And then everybody in my house got COVID. Everybody was really sick, and I couldn't do it for this guy. And I looked around in Northern Ireland to see, was there anybody else who could do it? Was anybody else specifically doing this? And I couldn't find anybody. And there was a couple of girls who I thought were maybe doing this kind of thing, and they were like, no, we don't really do that. So I thought, well, there's clearly a market for this because somebody has approached me to ask me to do it. I've done it before for myself and I know it works. And then just, serendipitously, your STAGERBOSS ad popped up and I was like, this is definitely a thing. I'm going to go to this, see what Liv has to say, and, see if it's for me. And obviously I went that day, heard about you and your story and decided to sign up from there onto the course and really enjoyed it, found it really useful. Specific things that I hadn't really thought about, like contracts, having a contract in place before you walk in the door, which has been so important to me. That like don't ever go into somebody's house without a contract signed, without full payment. People don't like to pay up front and people are like, I don't know whether I'm at the end of a project and I don't still have the budget. That's okay if you don't have the budget to do it. No, I don't, because I have had one instance where somebody was not ready and I had the contract in place to say, the house has to be prepared, it has to be clean, the painters cannot be there, it has to be empty. And I arrived and the painter was painting the staircase that we had to bring beds up. And there was just builder's rubble everywhere. And I was like, I can't stage this house. And because I've had to come and I'll have to come back again, you'll have to pay additional money. And it's in the contract. And they couldn't argue because I took a video and, the place was a tip. So it does happen. It's only happened to me once. But because I had done your course, I had that contract and I had it in place and I knew the importance of that, I was able to say, look, it's in the contract. So it was so worthwhile. It's been so worthwhile doing that. And I was really glad I did it.
Yeah, 100%. Like the contract is so needed. I mean, it's bad when you show up to a property and it's not ready. I actually showed up to a property once and it didn't even have the staircase built. I was like, how do you expect us to take the furniture up there? Like levitate with it? It was brilliant. It was like, where's the staircase? Anyway, that aside, the contract completely protects you, doesn't it? And so before this, before STAGERBOSS, before launching your staging side of your business, you were running an interior design business. Why did you feel like, I know that you spotted a gap, but did you see home staging as like an opportunity for more cash flow? What was happening in your interior design business at the time?
Well, with the interior design business, and I love it and I still do it. I still do take clients, but it's a very lengthy process. You're working with a client maybe over a long period of time. Thankfully, a number of my interior design clients are repeat business. So they maybe I start off doing their living room and then they're like, can we do the dining room? I need a new kitchen. And so it goes on. So that has been lovely, but it's quite an involved process. Quite a lot of the money that you make in sort of the interior design is from, I have sort of trade accounts for furniture and so on. The client is charged the set fee that, the recommended retail price, but I make a markup because I have a trade price. So that's more where you're making your money. And it comes in dribs and drabs. it's a long and involved process. Whereas with staging, I make all the design decisions. I decide on the furniture. I decide how the place is going to look, and it's a wee bit for me instant gratification. You know, you go into an empty room and then you leave it, and it's beautiful. So there is that, but it's also, I set the fee. I know what that fee is going to be. I know when the job's going to be. I know when it's going to be done, and I can work that round my kids and my family, so much easier. And as you say, that there was definitely a gap in the market. I know Katrina is a good friend of mine now, who I also met at STAGERBOSS, is doing really well in Northern Ireland as well. And we're sort of turning up at all the same things, and I've got really quite friendly, and we're sort of passing things to each other. If we can't do something, we pass it on to each other. So there's been that kind of little community started to develop. I actually also set up my own property women event
I love
to
that.
get people all aspects of property along and get girls, working together. So we've got everybody come to that, from like, conveyancing solicitors and accountants to another home stager, Katrina comes to it, to property developers, all that kind of thing. I found, I know one of the things that you had suggested to us, Liv, is, find who in your area is actually, where are the developers meeting up? Where do the people go who need your business? But I find that quite a lot of those events, while I still go to them and I still enjoy them, quite a lot of them, there's a lot of men in suits, my portfolio is bigger than your portfolio kind of thing. And you
Oh,
don't really get a chance, you know what I mean? You don't really get a chance to network. You don't really get a chance to chat. But you see, when you get, 30 to 40 women in a room, they had to throw us out. The guy had to come to me and say, Sheelagh, I'm really sorry. The staff have to go home. It's like 12 o'clock at night. Are you not leaving? And it was like chucking out time at the pub. I was like, come on. I do give them champagne when they arrive, so that helps. But that happens every couple of months. And that has meant I've been able to kind of sort of build my tribe, and that has been lovely. And I've got work out of that. Katrina's got work out of that. We all help each other. And it just, it felt like that at your event. It was all women. I know it's maybe not everybody's not female who comes to your things, but I got from that as well. It's always a passion of mine to support other women in their sort of, journey as well. And that's really what that has done. Yes, it's been good for my business. Yes, it's been good for my profile, but and it's helped me to network, but it's also helped the other girls there to network and giving them business. So it's been great. So yeah, started off with one business. Now I've kind of got three. It's it's got a bit crazy. My youngest son is like, "Are you working again?" Oh no, I'm sorry, but this is what's paying for your football and everything else. So it is. I just find, I think, in terms of the cash flow and everything else, staging has given me that a wee bit more freedom. It is a wee bit more instant. It's a bit more controllable. And yeah, I've just found that has worked really well with me and my lifestyle.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, I love how you can work it around your kids, your life, everything like that, as you've said. But also, like, when I first thought about, I wanted to do something interior design related when I left school because I love it.
Mhm.
Um, and I thought of being an interior designer and having to listen to someone's every wants and needs, like that is just so not me. A bit like you, I think I want to just do my own thing. I want to put my stamp on it. I want it to be my design, and that's what staging gives you. Plus, yeah, interior design is those longer, lengthy projects. Whereas what I love about staging, I'm sure you're the same. Well, whilst I'd love to plan my diary really far in advance, I also love when a week you're like, things are going a bit slowly, and then you get a phone call, and then you get 3 jobs that week. It's very, very
Mhm.
fast paced, and that's great for cash flow and profit and everything on top of that. But what I also love that you've done is that you built a networking event, right? I mean, what you wanted
Mhm.
didn't exist, so you built it yourself, and that itself puts you on the map of property in Northern Ireland, and it's what I teach to build a personal brand, but you're also getting the tribe element, so I think that's totally fantastic. Now, what I would love to touch on, and we had a brief chat before we went live, was you said that, originally your brand was called Kensington House Design, and people were getting
Mhm.
confused because that was really interior design based. So could you share
Mhm.
some more about that, Sheelagh? What your move was to add another name? Tell us.
Yeah. Well, I have kept the Kensington House Design brand very much now for the interiors, and I split the property staging away from that business. I found because people were looking at Kensington House design. And I purposely pitched it like that. It is a wee bit more sort of high end. The clients that I have are happy to spend a fair amount of money doing what they need to do. But when people were looking at that for property staging, the property staging was totally lost in that. And also, I think it was putting them off a wee bit. It looked like it was going to be expensive, and they just, there was nobody coming to me for staging through that. So even though it was on my website that staging was sort of, something that I did, so I decided to completely separate it off, and named the business Property Staging NI, that it was doing exactly what it said. And that made an immediate difference. Like literally within, a week, I had 2 jobs booked, specifically because people said, "Oh, I saw you online." I also made sure that I changed that across everything, all my social media, added an additional social media, but linked in with Kensington House Design, linked to my website so that when people click on one, they can go to the other. And it also meant that the sort of 5 or 6 thousand people who were following Kensington House Design, I was able to say, head over to this as well, see what else I'm doing, and shared the content. So that it just gave me, an additional reach. But I very much pitched that separately. And new branding, different colors, it looks different. It's still me. And it means that I can sort of say within property staging design that, or property staging and that I have that design background, and that gives people maybe a wee bit of peace of mind that they're going to get a quality service. And the things that I'm using are going to be, of a certain standard. But I'm not confusing the two things that I do. They are really two separate businesses now, and that has helped. That has helped massively. It's funny, I just want to encourage anybody who is struggling at the start and maybe isn't, aren't getting booked, and you're thinking, I'm contacting all these people and I'm not getting any work in. It did take a while. But in July and August, I have 8 at the minute. I have 8 kits out. In July and August, I literally was booking, two jobs a week, and it just, I couldn't keep up to the work. I had to buy so much stock, and it's all still out. I have 1 kit in storage, and everything else is still out. So it can take a while, but don't be discouraged. Once you get there, you'll get there. So keep going, I suppose, is what I would say.
I love that. I mean, 8 kits out. That's insane. Like you've been doing this for like just over a year. It's incredible. It's massive growth in a really short space of time. So it really is amazing. And I love that you touched on like it does take a while, right? Anything worthwhile takes a wee bit of time. It's not going to happen overnight. It's that consistency, isn't it? It's that not just contacting 10 people and going, this doesn't work. It's continuing to
Mm.
contact, and also market yourself. And I think that your mindset has also developed so much throughout this journey. We were just chatting about how, jobs that you maybe used to break your neck for, you no longer are because you know your worth, right? Talk me through that process,
Mm.
how that's worked for you. Like, when you started out, you probably took any job you could get, but now you're really stepping into that expertise and saying, this is how much it costs. And if it ain't right, I'm not doing it.
Mm-hmm. Well, for example, yesterday, while I was going to this penthouse that I'm staging, I got a phone call from a lady who had asked me to do staging for her. And she's like, I'm at the end of the project now. Now the house looks really well, it's empty, but I've really have no budget. So I'm just wondering how much it would be. And I said, well, it won't be nothing. I said, well, eventually you will get your staging for free because you will get your money back at the other end. Everybody so far that I have staged for has sold, and sold quickly, and sold for over asking. There isn't anybody who's had to reduce the price once it's been staged. And I've been in and I have staged, so-called unsellable homes, and they've gone straight away. So she's sort of saying, oh well, is that the best you can do? And I'm like, I'm sorry, but that is my bottom line. I know it's only a 2-bed house, but there are certain costs that will always be the same. So I have costs in terms not only of my time, but I now have somebody else who helps me in the business. I'm paying staff. I have to do, I have to hire a van. That's a set price for a day, whether I'm doing a 2-bed house or a 5-bed house. So unfortunately that is the best I could do. That's my lowest price. And if she doesn't want to do it, she doesn't want to do it. At the start I was saying to people, oh yeah, I'll do it for £1,000. And then I'm like, I'm making, 20 quid at the end of it by the time, you buy everything. And like, this is, that's crazy. Don't do that. Do you know your worth? It's really, really tempting if you get your first job and you sort of jump at it. You have to treat even your first job as though you've been doing it for 10 years, because you know what, you do know what you're doing. If you're doing this right, you do know what you're doing. If you've done the course, you've done your homework, you've got everything in place to go, and you're starting your business. It's like you've been doing it for 10 years. So you have to speak to everybody that you speak to as though that's the case. And do you know what? I don't, this is awful. I hate turning work away. I'm not saying turn work away, but you start to get a radar for the people who are not going to be easy to deal with. And she's like, well, I'm going on holiday, so I was kind of wanting to get it done on Thursday. And I was like, I'm really sorry, I don't have availability this week. Like, I don't have availability for the next 3 weeks. And she was like, oh, right, okay. Well, I'll talk to my husband. And I was like, okay, no problem. Now, I never burn bridges. I've said, if you want to come back, or there's anything you want to do in the future, or if you want to sell it empty and it doesn't sell, come back, certainly come back to me and I'll see what I can do for you. But no, it's okay sometimes to sort of say, look, I'm not going to break my neck for that. I have another priority.
Yeah.
I'm doing, I can't leave a job that's paying me a lot of money this week and go to a job that's really probably not going to be worth my while. So it is okay eventually to say no. I'm not saying, turn down jobs just because you can't be bothered. But what I'm saying is you do start to get a radar for things that maybe are not going to be worth your while. So it's okay. Know your worth, as you say. You
Yeah.
know, yeah, I can't do better than that. That's my lowest price. Don't be afraid to say that to people, because, you know, I think as well, if I thought somebody was going to do it cheaply and cutting corners, I wouldn't want to employ them. So, I think for your own business and your own brand, you have to say, this is what it is. There are costs. You can explain to people what your costs are, but this is what it is. This is what it costs me, and that's my bottom line.
We do. We get it all the time. People asking, is that your best price? And I always find it funny that people think that's appropriate to ask small businesses, but they don't walk into Tesco or a supermarket and
Yeah,
say, oh, is that your best price? Am I shopping this week? Yeah, it is.
I
As
know.
it is with my business as well. And actually, we should be supporting small businesses. But yeah, I mean, it all comes with experience, doesn't it? When you're starting out, you do take certain jobs that you probably don't take further down the line. But I do think to instill that mindset right away of this, you don't want to lose money. People that don't pay, or people that are a nightmare, or jobs that you don't make money, is not good business. And as you said, Sheila,
Mm-hmm.
you develop that radar for alarm bells. This person's going to be a nightmare. And I get it all the time in all versions of all my businesses. And I'm like, I come from a mindset of abundance. There'll be so much more out there. I do not need the headache of this person. And I also need to make money. That's why I'm in business at the end of the day. Yes, I'm here to serve. Yes, I'm here to help. But this is how much I need in order to make profit. And I think there's no issue in that at all. So tell us, what
Mm-hmm.
is next for Property Staging NI? What is next for you? I mean, I've seen you in the press. You're absolutely killing it. What is next?
Well, the next thing is I am something that's coming up actually. I am sponsoring, or I'm one of the sponsors for the Property Pal Awards in Northern Ireland.
Amazing.
Um, so I'm doing that. I'm also using that as an opportunity to maybe to bring some of my clients that I've had this year along. And a couple of them are very good. They're like, well, I'll not bring my husband. I'll bring, my architect, and then you can network with them. So yeah, I'm very lucky. I've got some great clients, so they get it. So I'm bringing some of them along, some of my staging clients and some of my interior design clients, and that should be a good event. And hopefully that'll be another branding opportunity for me. The brand will be everywhere on that, and obviously, most estate agents in Northern Ireland, lots of developers will be at that event, so that's a good thing to be at. I have brought somebody else into my business. So I do have a girl now who helps me with staging, who is amazing. She's actually a friend of mine. And I was looking around for a while thinking, I'm killing myself doing this by myself. I'm going to have to bring somebody else into the business, but I need somebody who, is not going to need a full-time job. It is very much like somebody will phone you and say, can you come next week? And if you can do it, you can do it. And I need somebody who's able to be that flexible. She has one child who is a teenager, and she's old enough to be left on her own occasionally if she needs to be. And she's able to come, she's able to be flexible, and she's so glad of the work. And it's not like having a teenaged apprentice who will sort of follow you around and what do I do next. She's like, I'll go upstairs and make these beds up. Will you get those pictures hung? She's super. She's older than me, and she's fantastic. She brings me lovely lunches as well. So she's been lovely to bring into the business. And it's great to have her. And I'm at that stage. For a long time, I was kind of like trying to do all the things myself. But I'm at that stage where I realized, you know what, I need a bookkeeper. I need a new accountant who's going to work with me better. So I found another girl who has set up, another female entrepreneur who is now my accountant, and we're working really well together. So I am just trying to grow the business, trying to look forward, just with expectation, as you say, with that sort of abundant mindset. And wanting to see how much more I can bring in. I'm really working hard with all the clients that I do have. A lot of them are developers who have quite a number of developments. So I'm going back to them, hopefully doing more work with them and encouraging them to come back to me. So yes, I'm hoping for lots of repeat business and just hoping to go from strength to strength.
Amazing. I love it. Oh gosh, your story is just so incredible. And I'm so proud of how far you've came from when I first met you. And I knew that you'd be amazing at this. And you've proven that. And yeah, I can't wait to watch what you and the brand do next.